Museum in Camrose, and this light isn't very good, but I'm going to put up some more lights here. We'll be able to see. I'm just going to set up right here outside the front door of the Centennial Museum in Camrose, Alberta. We are directly across from St. Mary's Hospital in Camrose, Alberta, Canada. There's not a lot of street lights here, so it's perfect for ghost hunting if you have lights. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some more lights as well and get this going. Where is everybody from? I can't see any chat. I don't know why, because all the chat settings are on. This happened to me earlier yesterday on my main account, and I don't know what's going on there, but I really hope that you guys can hear me, because I can't see anything that you guys are saying to me. So yeah, let me just get this rest of this gear set up here. I can't see my, there we go, there's another flashlight. Now it's just me, I'm a solo investigator, so it does take me a minute to get everything set up, especially if I goofed and I forgot my tripod stand. But we can make it work without that. We're going to make it work without that. We're going to do an EVP session in a minute. I want to take some baseline readings of EMF and such. So I'm going to grab my gear out and we're going to start. I hope that you guys are able to chat, because I don't see any chat coming across my screen. Like I said, I don't know what's going on there. It did this to me on my main channel yesterday too. I actually had to restart the live 6 times. Ended up giving up, and then I updated the app, and apparently it has not solved the problem. So if anybody has any suggestions, you can inbox me, because I'm not sure why it won't let me see the chat when everything is enabled. Okay, so I'm just getting some gear set up here. We've got the nail meter. It looks like we have a base, a 0 base reading. Temperature is currently 14.4 degrees Celsius. So we'll be able to watch and see if that changes at all while we're investigating. I'm just going to set up the flashlight on that so that we can keep an eye on it. And I'm going to grab some more gear here. I've got REM pod as well. I just need to put the antenna and turn it on. Now, as far as the spirit box goes, I might just hold off on that for a little bit, because it does get loud. And I don't know if you guys will be able to hear me clearly, but we're going to do our best. This is going to be a mini investigation. I will do a full investigation in the daytime here, where there's more light and more viewers, which can actually increase activity because the spirits will be getting the energy from them. And so K2 is jumping just a little bit. Not lost. No meter is still saying that it's not getting anything. K2 was jumping just a minute ago. We're gonna have to watch that. Alright, so just let me finish here, guys. Grab some more of my stuff here. I have all sorts of goodies. Like I said, I've got spirit box too. And, you know, I would like to do a spirit box session. I'm just not entirely sure if you guys will be able to hear me over top of it. Because it does get quite loud. When it's scanning through the stations, you hear that static as it's trying to find something to come through, right? And it gets pretty loud. Especially if there's street noise, which is happening right now. Alright. Let's get this turned on here. On in the dark. Trying to see what I'm doing and it's not working out. And put this on there again. Come on. Okay, why? I'm not entirely sure why it's not coming on. There we go. And so we are just going to see if we can get some communication happening here from the spirits. I'm getting some jump on my K2, but the millimeter isn't doing anything, and that could be the REM pod, but the REM pod is not on, so I wouldn't consider that to be a decent reading. Now I need to turn the REM pod on, but I do need the antenna, because that antenna here is what draws the energy. So I need to grab that from my bag here. Let me see if I can find that. Like I said, if I had my tripod, you guys wouldn't be so bored right now looking at nothing, because I could be wandering around holding the gear, but I've only got two hands and one of them needs to hold the phone. So I'm just going to try to do my best here. Welcome in, everyone. Now, if you're not familiar with paranormal investigation, it's ghost hunting. It's a fancy word for ghost hunting. So what I'm doing is trying to find evidence of spirit activity, right? And, oh, see, we've got something coming, trying to come through anyway. All right. Now, I do have some other lights here I'm going to set out. These lights are induction lights, and so they can turn on when they are touched, and it doesn't take much. So I'm going to set a couple of these out and see if we can get some spirits interacting, because the light will eventually go off. But if it comes back on, it's because the spirit was playing with it, right? Because I'm not going to be touching it until I pack up my gear to go home in about an hour. So I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to put this one over here. Right there. So I try to find my antenna for my REM pod. You guys keep an eye on that millimeter there for me. Well, I keep looking for that antenna. I know I put it in a zip pocket so that I wouldn't lose it. And guess what? I'm struggling to try to find the dang thing right now. So if there's any spirits here, the light turned off and that light turned off, and it just turned back on, which means that something had to have made that go on. because I'm over here. I'm nowhere near that. Thank you for interacting with me, Spirit. Can you come through on the Spirit box and tell me what your name is? Do you have enough energy to do that? If you don't have the energy to do that, you're more than welcome to take some of my energy or some of my device's energy. Just please don't completely drain me. I've done that to me before. I got quite ill from it. Okay. I've got the antenna now. Put that on and I'm going to get the REM pod going here. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I need to put my phone down, so I'm just going to pause the live for a minute, but I'm not going anywhere. All right. So with the REM pod, if there is energy that comes near it, this will go off. It will also sense different temperature changes. So if there's a spirit here, you're more than welcome to use these devices to try to speak to us. There's nothing coming through on here, which is kind of strange. Honestly, it's a little bit strange. I'm getting some hits and that light is on again. Oh, and this one just turned on as well. So is there somebody here that would like to speak to me then? You're interacting with a couple of the devices. If you'd like to speak to me, can you make this, my hand, go to red, please? Can you make the K2 meter go all the way to the red? You do have some spikes, and those lights just turned off, so I'm standing in the same position. If they turn back on, that is not me. The millimeter still hasn't moved at all. But the K2 is jumping, which is bizarre. There's electricity inside the building, but there's none outside of the building. There's not even any lights on the property. Like, you can see how dark it is here. Oh, that light just turned on again. Thank you. And that one did too. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. So yes, there's nothing here. The lights are on the street. Oh. I hear you. I hear you. Oh, why did this turn off? Why did you turn off on me? Wow, this just pegged to red. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you again. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. That lets me know that you're here and that you can have an intelligent reaction to me and my questions. Now, can you go and make this? Make a bunch of noise and have pretty lights on it? You think it's a demon? And you want to help? The chat is asking for you to say Isaiah. Can you come through the spirit box and say Isaiah? You know, I'm going to actually change the sweep rate because it seems to me that they like it at a lower rate. They tend to like it at a lower rate, for me at least. At about 100. So you can see it's sweeping through FM stations. Now what happens is a spirit can come through and manipulate these radio stations in order to send a message. And at this rate, how fast it's going, anything that comes through is going to be a legitimate response. You're not going to pick up on a lot of radio interference. Oh, look at that. The milligauss on the rim, or the millimeter rather, is changing. Thank you for coming forward and interacting. Now, I will say that if there is more than 5 milligauss there, I'm not talking 0.5, I'm talking 5 point something, you can be guaranteed that that is considered paranormal because there is no electricity right here. I'm the electricity. The equipment that has batteries is the electricity, and it's not giving off anything right now, having sitting here, just sitting still. So anything that comes through and shows a milligauss reading is pretty paranormal at this point. Now, Spirit Chat's still waiting for you to say the name Isaiah. Are you able to come through and say Isaiah for us? There's 7 beautiful souls in this chat wanting to talk to you, Spirit. Don't let them down. They're here to hear you and your story. Now, this is a recognized museum. If anybody is interested, this was built in 1966. These are some of the original buildings of Camrose. Now, later today, I'm going to be doing a full investigation of some of these outbuildings at the museum, because it's a fairly decent sized property. It's not gigantic because this is just a rural town in Alberta. But I'm going to be doing a day investigation. It'll be more of a full investigation of this one than the new one because I just was able to go live. And I had a lot of people messaging me today asking about museum questions. And so I just got to 1,000. I created this account 14 hours ago, but thanks to my paranormal family, I love you all. We are over 40,000 strong. Thanks to them, I was able to go live today to do an investigation for everybody. Everybody that was asking, thanking me basically. I had migraine all day, so I really wasn't able to. Okay, so that light just came off, and so did that one. And you're back on. So you're just like hanging out here. Did you work here? Spirit, did you work here at the museum? Or perhaps you worked at one of the hospitals, because that's a hospital right there. And then we have St. Mary's, which is the main hospital. This is a palliative, basically, rehabilitation clinic. But this is a full functioning emergency hospital, regular hospital. But we're rural, so we don't have, as you can see, the parking lot kind of empty, the staff parking lot is there, because we are a rural city. Yes, we're a city, we're just not a very big one. Camrose is in central Alberta in Canada. We just had Big Valley Jamboree. Some of you might have heard of it. It is the largest country music festival, outdoor country music festival in Canada. I see that the temperature has gone down. Now that can just be because the sun is going to come up and the temperature tends to dip right before that happens. I don't know if that happens anywhere else in the world, but it happens in Canada quite frequently. We experience temperature changes on the regular. And there's not a lot of activity happening here. There's nothing coming through. I'm going to change this, though, from FM to AM, and then we're going to see if that might actually help things, because sometimes they just need a different frequency. Now you can hear there's a lot more radio chatter coming through, going at 100. So I'm going to change that sweep rate. There's a lot of radio chatter on AM stations. That's why I had it on FM, because out in rural Alberta, we have a lot of AM radio stations. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Can you touch this other light for me? Thank you. That was an immediate response. Thank you, Spirit. See, that lets me know that you are an intelligent spirit responding to my questions. We can use these lights to answer questions. So once they go off, I'm going to get you to touch one of them as a response to my questions, okay? I'm going to stand back here so you guys can see both of them. Or at least I'm going to try to see if you can see both of them at the same time, okay? So they turned off, yeah. That one's still on. Can you back away from that light, please, Spirit, so that it resets? And then we can use it to communicate. Turn the light off, please, Spirit. And you like that light again. You don't want to turn it off. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now, Spirit, that light that you just turned off is going to be the no button, and the one that is on the chair is going to be the yes button. So can you tell me, did you work at the museum? Yes or no? No is on the ground inside the door. Yes is on the chair. No, you didn't work here? Did you live in Camrose, Spirit? We'll wait for that light to turn off, but there's other devices that you can use to communicate with me. Sitting on this chair, you can affect the temperature or the milligauss reading. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Now you can also touch this device that has a bunch of lights and noises, and that will let me know that you're responding. Now, K2 was just jumping too. I don't know if you guys saw that. There's a lot of chatter coming through, but I have not heard anything really legible. So I'm going to change the sleep rate again. Here we go. We'll see what happens there. Oh, thank you. Okay. So, Spirit, it seems that you like that light more than you like anything else. Remember, that's the no light, and this is the yes light. Thank you. Now, again, you have to touch these devices in order for them to light. Ghosts and spirits are the same thing. If we refer to them as an entity, however, that is not necessarily the same thing. Usually entities are something that even in the paranormal we don't understand and can mean something malicious or evil. I have had interactions with those entities. They have not been friendly, but it's been about 30 years since that happened. Now, I did do an investigation at the cemetery here a couple of weeks ago that is up. Yeah, I had an attachment follow me home. Thank you, Spirit. Hey, again, did you live in Camrose? Yes is on the chair. No is on the ground. Can you touch one as an answer? Did you reside in Camrose, Spirit? Now, I just want to caution everybody because paranormal field is blowing up. Everybody wants to do it. I'm actually going to turn off the spirit box because nothing is coming through and it's actually kind of distracting. I have to yell. I'm sorry. I don't want to yell at you guys. Yeah, it's just nothing really legible is coming through, so I'm just going to turn it off for now. That way you don't have to yell. Thank you for turning that light on. Okay, so I just want to caution because the paranormal field is obviously blowing up. Everybody wants to do it because they can go live and they can have a lot of followers and likes and can make some cash. But you have to be careful because if you are not properly protecting yourself, cleansing yourself, you could end up with an attachment. Now, I do cleanse, and I do it after every investigation. And if I have done an investigation at a residence, for example, they're having particularly nasty spirit, I will do more than just a cleansing. I can do a reading, I can cleanse it, I can pass the spirits on, and I can do the investigation, obviously. But if you don't know what you are doing, you could be setting yourself up for a paranormal attachment or a paranormal attack, or worse. It is very exciting. You cannot go into it with a great deal of emotion either way, because Spirit, thank you, that is a no. That is a no response, but I'm not sure what it was in response to, if it was to the living in Camrose or if it was to what I was just talking about. Because yeah, you have to be very careful and protect yourself. And you can't go into an investigation with your emotions fully charged, because they are energy vampires. Spirits are energy vampires because they need it to be able to communicate. They need it to move things, to speak to you, to interact with your devices. They need energy. And if you're saying no, but I know that you do, because you do it all the time. And if you are any way, shape, or form a sensitive, meaning that you can pick up on spirit energy, or you can converse, or you can see them in any way, or just feel them, they're going to go after you first. And I am a sensitive. I can pick up on energies. I can feel the weight of them. They can affect me by giving me a headache, by making me nauseous and dizzy. Now, that is something that comes with high EMF as well. Yes, the plant spirits, I guess it really depends on where you are. Where I am, there is not a lot of anything but prairies and fields, right? Like, this is central Alberta, Canada. We are prairie country. We are farmers. And so there's not a lot of like forest here in central. We have trees. We just have, typical residential type trees though. And I personally have not had any interaction with any deities or, elementals or anything like that. I've not had any interaction. I've had interaction with spirits. I've had an interaction with a negative entity. Now, I did hear my REM pod just briefly go. I briefly heard you, Spirit, and that light is still on. I think that you are maybe manning this door. You don't want to leave it. Now, you don't have to be afraid of me, Spirit. These devices are not going to harm you in any way. They are purely for me to document your existence and record any type of activity, whether it be speaking to me, touching things, touching me, moving things would be great. But I know it takes a lot of energy for you guys to do that. And I don't have my full kit. I brought my mini kit. I do have a full paranormal kit with trip lights and, like touch activated devices, you name it, I have it. I have a full kit. I have every camera that you can possibly imagine. And you really do like that one. You haven't lit this light up in a long time, Spirit. I have a thermal camera here. And so I'm going to grab that and I'm going to see if you're standing there at the door. Because I just have this feeling that you are hanging out there. Just kind of not sure what to make of me, hey? I don't blame you, because you've not seen me with these devices before. Thank you for turning that one on. Okay, I was pressing the wrong button. See, I don't have my glasses on and it's dark. And so I was pressing the wrong dang button. There we go. Okay. Now, this is a heat gun, obviously. It's going to show where the heat signature is on. And so if there is a spirit there, it would be most likely that blue color. And that blue color just means that it is something that is colder than everything else around it. So you can see where there's heat signatures, it's going to be red and yellow. And where it's cold, it is going to be blue. And so I'm just going to back up here and we're going to see, because it will pick up, you can see my reflection in that glass there. That's a problem with paranormal investigating. Some people will do their, SLS camera, which is a Connect camera that can map bodies, or they will do exactly what I'm doing and check for heat signatures, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's something there. But that's just you. Reflective surfaces will show you standing there. And with SLS and Connect cameras and XLS cameras, yes, they are fantastic and can map the human body, and so you might be able to see a spirit standing there, but it can also give false readings. For example, it said that there was a spirit in my living room, but it was actually just my stand fan because it had a round top and, what looks like legs, essentially, a body with feet, right? And so you have to really debunk these things. In order to be a good paranormal investigator, you're going to debunk things because you want to disprove what you're seeing, because when it does actually happen and you can't disprove it, then you know that that was a legitimate reaction, an interaction, right? So it looks like I'm not picking up anything but myself over here. Oh, well, you turned them both on. You don't want me coming closer. Is that what it is? And over here, it's not going to pick up my heat signature. And you can see on there, oh, I don't know if you guys can really read that very well, and it's in Celsius for any Americans or anybody that doesn't deal in imperial measurements. You can see the temperature in there, showing you the difference in, like, if you look over on the graph, 7 degrees, but then by the chair it's 14 degrees, right? And so if there was a spirit, say, standing in this grass over here, we would be able to see the form. It would probably be blue or green or maybe even slightly yellow. If I put it on the light, you can see the light there isn't really giving off anything, but the flashlight is. The flashlight is showing that it's quite warm. In fact, I do believe it says 22 degrees on there. So it definitely can pick up heat signatures. This is a great tool for if you're a homeowner too, because you can see if there's critters that are in your walls, or if there is a water main leak, or if there is electricity, causing major issues there. You're in Ontario. This is Camrose, Alberta. Spirits, the chat wants to know if you are familiar with where Ontario is. Now, I know because we're in Alberta, that means that you should be Canadian at the very least, Spirit, and so you should be familiar with where Ontario is. But I will wait for you to respond with the lights. Remember, this light here is yes, and the one that's on the ground is no, Spirit. So, are you familiar with Ontario? Oh, you're not familiar with Ontario. I think that you might be a little bit of a jokester. And I think that maybe you are a doorman for this museum at one point. Otherwise, you just really don't want me going near that door. And believe me, I'm not going to, because you're closed. I will be back in a few hours to do a day investigation. And so now the equipment over here hasn't gone off at all. I've been watching it and it's just dead quiet. So I'm not even sure if this spirit is really willing to interact with me very much, which is unfortunate. But sometimes they just don't want to talk. They don't want to interact with you. And sometimes they don't have the energy, and they might not be getting enough from the devices that I have. That is very, very common. In fact, a lot of people think that whenever you go to a location, you're just going to have so much activity. No, it's just like whether a place is haunted in the daytime or the nighttime. A spirit is going to be active when they want to be active, not when you want them to be active. It's absolutely dead quiet. There's absolutely nothing going on here. So I might just end the live here, because it doesn't seem like Spirit wants to interact with me anymore. It was talking a while back. But I also do suspect that I still have that attachment with me, that spirit that followed me from the cemetery. Because I had migraine all day and I was feeling pressure on my lower legs. And whenever there's a spirit close to me, that's what I feel. I feel very heavy, as if somebody is, not necessarily sitting on me, but they're putting a lot of force on my lower half. And that could very well have just been the spirit. That could be something that they were inflicted with during their life. They could have had some kind of, disorder that caused that, or maybe it was how they passed. As a sensitive, you can pick up on those things. It just depends on your mediumship, right? But it doesn't seem like Spirit really wants to interact with me right now. You really love that light, though, don't you? You just don't want to step away from that for too long. But that's okay, Spirit, because I don't want to make you do something that you're not comfortable with. If you're not comfortable interacting with me, that is totally fine. You are not even sure of who I am. And of these devices will not harm you. They are simply to record you and your interactions with me. That's all. I know later when I go back and I replay the live, I might actually be able to hear you talk to me, Spirit. I didn't want to use my EVP recorder tonight because I'm going to do it during the day, and I might do an SD session. Now, anybody that's not familiar with what an SD session is, I'm just going to take some EMF readings over here by this light to see. You see how it's not doing anything because this can't affect it. It's such a low level of electricity, it's not going to make this jump. But if there was a spirit here, it would be most likely in the red. In my apartment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. So you got a little closer to me. You wanted me to back up? You are wanting me to back up. Okay, because that was a surge there. Thank you. I will back up. Thank you. Can you back up, Spirit? Can you back up just a little bit? Thank you. You are backing up a little bit because the light is dimming. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. But like I was saying, I'm going to probably do an SD session. And now because I'm a solo investigator, that's kind of dangerous. But what it is I will have headphones instead of the speaker for the spirit box. Okay, so this is the spirit box here. There we go. I wish I hadn't forgot my dang tripod. It's so much easier when you have multiple hands to use. So the spirit box that I had running earlier, that you could hear all the radio stations and not much of anything else, just bits and pieces of stations trying to come through. Where that speaker is right there, I can put my headphones on and I can put a blindfold on. And then I can listen for responses. I can ask questions, or the chat can ask questions that I won't be able to see. Thank you for, oh, you turned it right back on as soon as you stepped away from it. And my K2 is going off because you are very interested in what I'm doing right now, hey? So anyway, the chat can ask questions or I can ask questions, and then whatever comes through in the headphones might be something completely different that is coming through on, like if I was just doing regular spirit box. Sometimes it's easier for them to come directly in that way straight to you. No, this is not fake. I honestly don't even know what I would have to do to fake an investigation. I've been doing these investigations for a little over 30 years now. I just happen to have newer equipment than I was using back then. I'm an authentic investigator. I like to debunk things because I think as a good investigator, you have to do that. It's just like being a news reporter. You want to have the facts because that is your reputation on the line if you are misrepresenting the information. Thank you. So yeah, I'm not really sure why Spirit doesn't really want to interact with me. It could just be a little trepidatious because, you know, I'm pretty much the only investigator in Camrose, and this is new territory to them with this equipment because normally I would be out there with basic equipment. An old Kodak camera, the digital instant cameras are really fantastic for ghost hunting, old tape recorders, even old boom boxes instead of the newer spirit boxes can be useful for spirit communication because you have to remember, a lot of these spirits, they're old school. You know, they're going to be my age and older, and I'm going to be 50. So you have to think back then the technology was completely different, and they're not familiar with it. They might not even know what I'm doing. They might not know what an iPhone is that I'm filming on, and so you want to change up your tactics too when you're talking to them. You want to give them lots of equipment to interact with. just change it up and see what works, because not every investigation are you going to have mind-blowing evidence. I had a 3.5 hour live where the whole chat was involved in asking questions, and the EVPs that were coming through were phenomenal. It was just constant. Nothing was fluff either. There was answers for everybody's questions, and there was actually 2 skeptics in the chat, and one of them got scared because he got a response that he wasn't expecting. He got the truth, I guess, and he immediately left the live. And then the other one is now a fan. That's sometimes how it works. You might not believe it until you see proof of it working. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. You know, this device right here, it does the same thing as this, but it makes a bunch of noises and has a bunch of fancier lights on it, and I can also detect your temperature. Can you come over here and you touch this antenna right here? When you touch that antenna, it's going to make a bunch of noise. Are you able to do that for me, Spirit? Are you able to come and interact with the REM pod? Gosh, I really hate that I forgot my... Like, I have a couple of tripods, and that's the thing. I have one sitting at my door because I left it there when I was walking out the door, apparently. And I have 3 other ones. And you think that I could remember them all, but I'm only me. And I had to walk carrying all of my gear on day 5. Oh, no, this is day 6 of no sleep. Night 5 of no sleep. So day 6, night 5 of no sleep. And I thought, well, I was just, blessed with getting to 1,000 followers. Let's go and do a mini investigation. But Spirit doesn't really want to interact. That you haven't really interacted with that light very much. And that is even more proof to me, because I'm nowhere near it. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, I'm nowhere near these lights. I'm not touching them. They're going off because something is interacting with them. There's no mosquitoes, there's no animals out here. It's quiet. It's quiet. Now, if I had been able to, get to 1,000 followers and go live a little earlier, I could have been here during dead time. Dead time is widely believed to be when spirit activity or paranormal activity in general, Bigfoot, aliens, all of that, more active between 3 and 4 a.m. My belief is that has something to do with the moon, because that is when the moon is going to be starting to fully descend for the sun to rise. It's starting at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I believe it has something to do with that. We are energy beings, and the moon controls the energy of water, which is also an energy, I wouldn't say being, but it is what fuels a lot of energy, right? Water fuels a lot of energy. And so I think that because the moon can affect water, it can affect us, that it definitely has an effect on dead time in the paranormal. I have seen things become more active around 3:30 in the morning, but I wouldn't say that is the only time you're going to get paranormal activity, because if a place is haunted, it's going to be haunted 24 hours a day. You just might not put any stock into what you're seeing, because a lot of people would rather block it out and call it something else, like, oh, I saw an orb, but that has to be something else. Now, I have seen orbs in person, not just captured them on film. And believe me, that is an experience that not many have had, is to see an orb with their own eyes in front of them. It is fascinating to me, because once we're gone, and this is just the vehicle for our soul, right? Our body, our flesh is just a vehicle carrying our soul to its next destination. So that energy that's in our bodies has to go somewhere. And I think that's what orbs are. Thank you for turning that. Oh, as soon as I noticed that it's off, you turn it back on, Spirit. I don't know what to make of that. Are you being territorial with me, or are you just trying to learn what you're capable of doing, what you're capable of interacting with? Because, like I said, I have lots of equipment here, and you're more than welcome to, take the light from the batteries. Drain them. Take that energy and use it to interact with me. I had my laptop turn on 3 times, not just turn on, but actually entered my 4-digit PIN during that live EVP session that was 3.5 hours. Thank you for turning the lights off. Like I had my laptop open, but it was in standby. And not only did it turn on, but it entered the PIN to go like to the desktop. I can't explain it. I live alone. I don't have any pets. Both of my hands had equipment in them, and the whole live was watching me and heard my laptop boot up. And I was like, what is actually happening right now? But that's something that can happen if you have a spirit that's really keen to talk to you. They really want to interact. And like I said, I had 3.5 hours of solid, intelligent communication. And yes, you can go on my TikTok and you can find that video that has all of the words that were on it. The first part of the video is highlights of the most significant phrases and words that were spoken. And then at the end is the full chat log. And I think it's 4 full pages of chat log that you might have to pause to read it all because the text is quite tiny. But I was using the Spirit Talker app, and that app is phenomenal. I've had EVP sessions where you get 5 words over a 3-hour period, and you're just like, well, that sucked. Just like tonight, where my spirit box wasn't really coming through. The mail meter had a little bit of spikes. The REM pod didn't really, but the K2 did. And sometimes that happens. But to have 3.5 hours of nonstop, not just one word coming in and it being random, but there was full-on sentences and repetitive sentences. I think it said that it was in the corner watching me 4 or 5 times, and to not be afraid, and we're protecting you, and don't trust the bad ones, there's a demon. It was just phenomenal. I do have the cat balls. Now, I didn't bring them with me tonight, simply because there's a little bit of wind, and they would roll away, and then that wouldn't be, like, that would be debunkable, right, if they rolled away, because it wouldn't be the spirit that made them roll away. And I need to be authentic. That's the type of investigator that I am. I want to have authentic investigations, because even as a paranormal investigator, you should be a little bit skeptic of everything that you are doing. Not everything is paranormal. Like I said, when I had the thermal camera here, you could see my reflection on the glass, right? You could see the heat signature. And there's some people out there that would be, oh my gosh, look at that spirit, look at that spirit. But that's not a spirit, that's me. And that happens a lot, especially with people that are using things like the Kinect camera, which is the SLS, right? And it can map the human figure, and it can pick up things that it thinks are the human form. If you have a really good SLS camera, it's not going to do that. But if you have ones that are in some of the apps, some homemade ones might not work as well. But you should be a good investigator, and you should be able to debunk it. And if you can't debunk it, then that's probably a legitimate experience. Oh, there's that K2 jumping again. Are you trying to talk to me, Spirit? Can you turn this red again for me? Remember when you had the lights go all the way to red? Can you do that again for me? Hi, Docs. How are you doing this morning? Now, Docs was present for that live, for that 3.5 hours of amazing spirit interaction. So she can verify. My hands were full. I just kept holding up the tablet so that they could see, or putting my phone in front of the tablet like this so that they could see. I wasn't doing nothing. You can't even input questions in there. You have to physically use your voice and wait for spirit to interact using the database of words that is in that app, right? And the things that were coming through just floored me. And after, when I was editing the video to post, is when I noticed how many of the messages actually were for me. Because I didn't think a lot of them were. I thought they were for most of the people that were in the chat or up in the boxes during the live. But there was quite a few that came through for me afterwards. But I did have an attachment. I had to keep reminding the spirit to back off of me. And so I had to go outside and take off my socks and shoes and stand on the cold grass for about 30 minutes to ground my energy. And I did sage cleaning, I did Palo Santo, and I did a couple of prayers. I'm not a religious woman, but I am spiritual. I believe that everybody has a little bit of spiritualism in them, whether they like to admit it or not. At one point in your life, whether you have up to this point, but some point in your life, you probably will be asking for help from somebody. Busy night for you, maybe. My headache finally let up enough, and I was able to get enough followers that I could come and do this investigation. This is just a mini one, though. I'm going to do a full investigation during the day, where I can actually go and look at some of the outbuildings that are here, because this museum it's not a large museum, but it is allegedly haunted. I haven't seen anything, like no shadow play or anything. The cemetery, I saw tons. And during the day, I had a tree peeker. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that was a spirit or if it was a human that just liked to hide behind a headstone at a grave while I was doing my investigation, but it was kind of creepy. And normally I don't get creeped out doing these, but that was creepy. It was creepy. Now, you really like that light. That's what I told you was the no button. So I'm going to wait for you to turn it off, and then I'm going to ask you a question, and that's going to decide whether this live continues or not. Thank you. Would you like me to continue asking you questions, Spirit, or are you done with having me here? Remember, yes is on the chair and no is on the ground in front of the door. Would you like us to leave you alone, Spirit? Oh, now you're not going to interact with me at all. That's not a good sign, guys. That's not good. You've been standing at that light all night and now you don't want to talk to me? It's a little too dark and I don't have my tripod, or I would do dowsing rods right now, because sometimes they can interact with you a lot easier using the dowsing rods. They're copper, and so they're going to have an effect on the energy anyway. And they're light, so it's very easy for them to be manipulated by the spirits, and you can have them cross for yes and then open for no. Unfortunately, I don't think the spirit is really willing to communicate with me anymore, because he didn't even want to answer, or she didn't even want to answer that question. So I'm probably just going to pack everything up here. But if you would like, I'm going to come back here in a few hours, and I'm going to do a better investigation during the daytime so you guys can actually see the property. Because like I said, it's dark, but the sun is going to start coming up here in a few, hopefully. Hopefully. Unfortunately, the spirit just doesn't really want to communicate with me, and that happens. You know, like I said, you can go and do a weeks-long investigation at a location. Like, say we were at Waverly Hills. Now, Waverly Hills is a really bad example of this, because you're going to go there and you're going to have so much activity, and you're probably not going to stay more than an hour, let alone 7 days. However, you can go and you might be there for days and not get as much as I got tonight, which was barely anything. That happens. And that is more authentic to me than watching these shows or YouTubers that they just go in every location, they have constant activity, or they're constantly being possessed by these spirits. You know, that just doesn't happen very often. In fact, it's rare to come in contact with a demon, let alone a, low-level demon, but malicious spirits, just like in real life, right? In your existence right now, there's people that are evil, and that's what happens after you pass too. Some people turn once they pass because of, their anger or whatever. And not every spirit is going to be earthbound either. Some of them are trapped here. Some of them wanted to stay here. Some of them aren't even aware that they are past, And that's why I won't cross a spirit over unless I get it from them that they want me to do it. Or if it's, say, a homeowner that really is in a bind and they need it to be dealt with, Because every time you do communicate with anything using any method, whether it's a Ouija board, whether it is a pencil and a piece of paper, or
spirit box, you know, all of these things, you are opening up a telephone line to the other side, and you don't know what's going to come forward. It could be something that is not so nice. Okay, so you really do enjoy that light, don't you? Well, Spirit, I'm gonna go because you're really not communicating with me. I mean, the K2 is going off occasionally, but you're not interested in any of this equipment, and I don't blame you. You don't know me. You don't know this equipment, and that's fine. But I'm gonna come back, and maybe by then you will see nothing that I'm doing is gonna harm you. Okay? Thank you, though. Thank you for interacting, even just a little. Oh, I took a half of a step, like a shuffle. That's all I did. And you had to turn the light back on. You really don't trust me, do you? That's fine. That's fine. And I'm not going to be bringing any sage or anything here. Just be full aware, Spirit. I'm not going to do that because this is a place of business, and I would need to have permission if I was going to be doing something like that. So, but I want to thank you guys. Some ghosts are scared of lights. They are, actually. Some of them are just afraid of us in general. They don't know, you know, we might look completely different from the era that they were living in, and all this equipment is so new. Like I said, most of the spirits that I've investigated, or I should say the places that I've gone and had the spirits that were there, they were ancient, you know, like they were over 100 years. Where I'm investigating in Camrose, there is some older places, but there's not a lot here. This museum is going to have the oldest buildings. It's going to have the oldest buildings. You know, so I might be able to pick some stuff up during the day. There might be some spirits that are housed over in these back buildings. You know, and I might actually head over to the cemetery and do an investigation over there tomorrow. I don't want to do it today because I'm probably going to be tired. I have to carry all my gear, and it's a 2.5 mile walk back to my apartment. And so, you know, once you've not slept for 5 days in a row and then you've done an investigation carrying all your equipment back and forth, it takes a lot out of you. So I'm going to pack everything up, but I want to thank you guys for coming and stopping by. I know it wasn't very exciting, and if I remember to bring one of my tripods that are sitting at my door waiting at my apartment for me, I would have been able to do a lot more. You would have been able to see me interacting, and I could have brought out some more gear. But because I have one hand that is holding my phone and the other that is holding a flashlight, it makes it really difficult for me to do any of that stuff. So, but I will be doing an investigation here later. It'll probably be around 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, because that's where I am, is Mountain Standard Time in Alberta. So for Ontario, that would be what, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon if I was doing it at 1. And you guys are more than welcome to follow me when I'm doing the investigation. You're more than welcome to these words, but you are not welcome to follow me home when I leave here tonight. If you follow me home tonight, I will cross you over, and you might not like the way that I do it. Now, when I say cross over, I mean I have the means to do that. Are you going to turn the lights off for me to acknowledge that you understand you are not going to follow me back to my apartment? Thank you. You turn this one off for me too? You turn this off and I will end the live and we will go. We will leave you to be in peace. Thank you, Spirit. See, that was immediate. And that is why I do what I do. Because that stuff is exciting to me. That right there is legitimate interaction. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I'm sorry it wasn't a very exciting investigation for you. It was small. But yeah, come back and watch some more later if you like. I'm sure that you will find it to be quite different than this was, because this isn't typical. This is typical for a new spirit or a spirit that is new to being investigated. But Spirits of Cemetery, this is old hat for them. They want to talk. You know, they've been there for a while and they got stuff to say. So I'll be back here at the museum, and then probably tomorrow I will do the cemetery. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. Much love to you all.